So one question I had, and I forgot who said this, but I remember someone saying that blockchain itself is essentially a commodity or a technology, in that you could almost compare all the different blockchains today, whatever it is, Avalanche, Cardano, Ethereum, Polygon, to kind of the .com bubble in the early 2000s, where there's just so many today, and in the future it's going to kind of consolidate. I don't know if you agree with that view, or if you think that all these blockchains can exist simultaneously and um, succeed. And if you build on a specific blockchain with your company, if you guide people toward things, or again, you let them choose and say, yeah, we can build that on Binance, or we could build that on Ethereum.
Yeah. So that's a valid point, and it's very hard to say which chains would survive. There are many chains that are trying to do the same thing. Well, there's no one right answer because we don't know how the space would look like in 10 years, right? Because once the demand increases, then there would be need for all of these blockchains. And again, some chains have, differentiated themselves by the speed of transactions, the cost of, the transaction cost, and stuff like that. So to answer the question of why there are so many chains, well, because everyone thinks they have a better technology with which they can solve the problem. Because let's say if you want to build a game where there are a lot of transactions, you can't build it on Ethereum because the transaction costs are really high. So you can have to go to an L2, or you have to go to other chains like Solana where the costs are low. So it's good that there are a lot of chains because each chain serves its own purpose. That's one thing, right? And eventually, once there is demand, these chains would be needed. Or it might happen that only a few remains and all of the others are out of business. So us as a solution provider, we let the client choose, because mostly the clients have their own preference because of their use case. We want to build on this specific chain, so we do that. But in case where they ask us, we tell them, and the way we build it, and again, the future of dApps or games would be multi-chain. So it does not matter if you want specific chain. So let's say if you build on Ethereum, it's very easy to go to other EVM chains like Polygon, Avalanche, BNB, and all Arbitrum, Optimism. So it's very easy because the code base is same. You can easily transfer them. But in the future, the each application would be multi-chain, and we won't even know which chain we are on. And there are some chains like Cosmos or Polkadot that are working on, connecting all these blockchains with the concept of IBC, Internet Blockchain Protocol. So yeah, well, we don't know and we can't say. We'll just have to wait and see how things turn out to be.
And isn't one of the problems, right? And maybe this is an oversimplification, but Ethereum is so popular that there's so much demand that it increases those gas fees for transactions, which kind of just creates a problem for being the second most
Yeah.
popular blockchain. I mean, that's probably oversimplification, but I mean, I remember like we were talking about earlier, I try and pull stuff out of Strong Block, and it'd be like, okay, your gas fee is going to be $150, and it's like, okay, that doesn't work. So
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah, that
if
is the
that's
reason.
fair.
Yeah, it's absolutely correct because right now, obviously, transaction fees are higher, and as the network gets more congested, which means that more and more people want to do transaction, the gas fee would higher. So the way again it works is that how many requests are being sent. So if there are a lot of requests, so I'll give you an example. So imagine there's an ice cream truck and people want to buy ice cream, right? And the ice cream is $1. So there are 10 people in the line. So everyone is paying $1 to get an ice cream. But the last one say, okay, I'm going to pay $10. So they will eventually come at the front, and now the price of ice cream is $10. And then someone would come, okay, I'll pay $100. So the price of ice cream will become $100, right? So it depends on how much, what
Mm-hmm.
amount of someone is willing to pay to validate their transaction. So that's the concept between gas fee, right? So if the network becomes congested, if someone wants to for their transaction to be speed up, they would increase the fee, and eventually the whole network would have to pay that fee. So yeah, that's how I was telling you, right? Ethereum is not the right fit for some of the applications, but eventually Ethereum would become a settlement layer where most of the dApps would be on L2s like Polygon, Arbitrum, and stuff like that. And the way L2s work is that they do the transaction, but the settlement is done on Ethereum, but it's much faster and much cheaper. And we'll see how things turn out to be, because right now, if you want to build a dApp, an application that is going to be used by millions of people, it does not make sense to make it on Ethereum, because again, it's not sustainable for the users to pay that. So for that, we'll have to choose any other chain. And again, so in blockchain, there's something called blockchain trilemma, which means speed, decentralization, and security. So at any given time, each blockchain can have two things. So if a blockchain is speed, if a blockchain is fast and secure, then it's not decentralized. If a blockchain is secure and decentralized, then it's not fast. So each blockchain has their own problems. So, but there are new blockchains
Mm.
coming out, like near that can validate, I think, 60,000 transactions per second, and so on, with very low gas. So eventually, we'll see a lot of things happening, and we won't know 10 years from now or 20 years from now which chain would be the one which is being used most. But again, this would all come under the surface, where the end user won't know what they're using, because right now, when using Facebook or Instagram, you don't know what cloud providers they are using, you don't know what protocols they are using. So that's not something the end user is concerned with, but mainly the us developers or the product founders are concerned with.